Uh, I am Tyler Sear. I am part of Gaia Force Gaming, and I like Digimon. Since its release in Japan, some of the locals in my area and myself were playing proxies when it released in Japan, and then we continued that through to the official release.
Oh, really? Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. Thank you, Brian, for telling me I was muted. Great, 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 great. Oh, fantastic. So you started playing in the Japanese format, right? And what's
Yeah.
something you noticed when you started playing? Like, did you have physical cards? Did you have like an app you were playing on?
So me and a bunch of locals, we just printed proxies and uh, we generated interest in our area. Eventually, our local game store let us hold tournaments like with the proxies,
Mm-hmm.
which was really cool. We had a pretty strong community from the get. We've been playing like that up until the American like super pre-release in November, when we had physical. As soon as we knew what the American BT1 metagame was going to be, we switched to only allowing proxies from that set. So
Gotcha,
like,
gotcha.
but I personally during the pandemic got into Chrono Clash. I thought that the time system was really unique and cool,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what kind of got carried over into Digimon. Like they kind of like blanked Chrono Clash and uh, set up the IP and changed some mechanics to like balance it in a different way. And I was a big fan, and I love the IP in general. So
Gotcha, gotcha. So is that's what brought you Digimon, right? Was just the interaction between the memory gauge, right?
yeah, just between the IP itself, just Digimon as a franchise, I've always loved. I've always been into card games for pretty much most of my adulthood, as
Mm-hmm.
well as in my like childhood. You know, everyone starts with Pokemon. That's our age. Which I guess for everyone wondering, I'm 30 exactly. So, um, but yeah, I played Pokemon not super seriously. I played Yu-Gi-Oh. I played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh for a while in my teens. I played the original Naruto CCG pretty
Okay.
competitively. Um, and then I went to Magic for a while, just Magic for quite a bit.
Gotcha, gotcha.
And then before the pandemic, I quit Magic just to focus on my career. And when, the pandemic hit and we had a lot more free time, I kind of found, I was just bored gaming for a while with like friends, like tabletop gaming, and I had the itch to play card games again. So glad Digimon came out. I also played Keyforge for the little bit that it was around. I really liked that.
Gotcha, gotcha. Hold on. But yeah, so Tyler, you've played in a bunch of different type of events. What? How many events have you topped? What events have you topped? What have you played in?
Um, I actually don't have a number, unfortunately. I used to like have a booklet that
Too
I
many
keep track.
tops.
Not, yeah, not to. I think it's just a law of numbers because I play or try to play in every single premiere event hosted by Bandai or PPG. I try to play in every Gyroshan. I just try to play in like any event that's like I feel like substantial as much as I can, and because of that, like there was a while when it was just PPG hosting tournaments outside of like the like what Bandai hosted one every 3 months or something.
Yeah.
Uh, like there was a moment where I had only not topped a single tournament with them.
Gotcha.
So like, and then with Bandai events, I either like top 32 or like drop after like two losses or something just because I have other stuff or just not feeling it that day.
Right. Like if you already have the prize support.
Yeah. Like regionals is like a super easy. Like as soon as you lose one, it's like okay, I'm done now.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you started playing Digimon in the beginning, like the beginning of the Japanese format. You really liked the memory system, which is what drove me to the game as well. Was the memory being only letting your opponent do as much as you let them do, and vice versa. And then you actually have a deck for us from the favorite event that you've topped, and I'm going to show that right now. So let's go ahead and talk about the deck. If you have it pulled up, I have mine pulled up.
Yep, I can pull it up. I chose, I believe it was a PPG. I came second in the 1.0 format. I think this was the actual release event that they held when the game like officially released in January.
Right.
Because we were playing like in the pre-release from November till then. And I chose blue-yellow.
Gotcha. Yeah, a 1.0 deck. I wasn't playing back then, so this is super weird for me to see. Like, just a bunch of these Digimon as a culmination. I mean, I guess it's not that foreign since we have, like, security control with, like, yellow, black, and stuff. But this is really cool. How about you just go through the deck and see if you remember why you played what you played?
Yeah, actually, it isn't just, like, foreign to you. Even in 1.0, this was, like, a very obscure concept. And honestly, this was kind of, like, the formation of GFG as a team was so I know Trey through Yu-Gi-Oh! We played locally together like a long time ago. He used to live where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like testing Digimon. He got into Digimon, messaged me about it because he saw like the community in our area because he was still part of the local like comic shop group. And so we would just always message and test, and we were playing in like luxury events a lot just to get testing in with like higher stakes. And then the week before this event, or the event before this event, I should say, Dan Bang came 5th place with Blue Yellow, and we like were both super like blown away by how like unique it was. I know it existed in Japan, but just for like the American meta, it like kind of shook up stuff, and people were talking about it. And like
Right.
even around like Pokemon, so people were like, "Wow, 3 colors and like this early of a format's kind of wild." And so I actually messaged Dan before PPG put up the deck lists. Just like I literally searched his name in the Digimon group, and I was like, "Hey, you came 5th place with this really cool deck. Can I get the list? I want to test it. Can I pick your brain?" And then eventually Trey got so sick of losing to this deck that he started playing it too. And then the 3 of us were just in this like group thread, just workshopping the deck. We all had like 2 or 3 cards difference. And then we were all like, "Oh, we're all playing in this PPG. Let's just all put Gaia Force Gaming." Because I'd been going by Gaia Force Gaming since the game began.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, everyone just put it as your tag. Like, we're a team now. That's just what it is. So that's like kind of like the origin story.
Isn't that so cool how like a game can bring together people that like normally wouldn't interact with each other, and then like now your team, you talk to each other like almost on the daily, if not daily, like. And then you get to come up with cool concepts like this, like.
Yeah, like to me, Dan Bang was just a guy who did a cool thing with a deck, and now he's Dan the man. Like
the best Digimon player to ever do it, in my opinion. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about the deck. So for Upa, I don't know what other eggs were out back then. Was it just Upa? Was there anything better?
For blue, your only choices were Upa, Starter Deck Sunamon, and Wanyamon. So
yeah.
I went with only the 4 eggs because it is not a like very aggressive deck, and you only ever want to see Upamon because you wanted the draw power.
Right.
So like seeing a Sunamon is like useless. Wanyamon never really helped. It didn't really matter. I'm pretty sure all of us that were playing the deck at the time were on 4 Upa.
Okay, and then we have 6 vanillas, right? Any reason it's 4 Elec and 2 Goma?
I think it was just what I had available at the time, so I just pulled up my exact list. But it was just 6 vanillas. It didn't matter which one was which. I think at the time you would skew more towards the Elec because you ran other Gomas, and Omnimon, like Blue Omni and Red Omni, were everywhere.
Right, that makes sense.
So you don't want to get punished by BT1 Omnimon for going wide. You ran the 4 Drabumon just for more draw power. The Memory Goma was actually really good with the Leomon.
Yeah, game 3 memory on deletion seems crazy.
Yeah, especially in like you're talking about the entire card base was only like 150 cards, give or take, or however many were in the set, like maybe 200.
I think even like this format, if you were to try to tech that in Gobubond, I think it'd still be pretty good because gaining 3 on your opponent's turn and getting a check, which is what Gobubond wants to do, this could be like a cool tech choice, guys, if like you really want to look at it.
Yeah, and this was, remember, before like dual Digivolution costs. This was before memory blockers. So like replay works, they talked a lot about like the start-stop theory during the like beginning formats, where like you could do dual colors if you had like a stopping point, and you
Mhm.
went from there. And that's basically the premise of this deck: is the low end is all blue, which was the fastest, most efficient low end at the time,
Right.
and then you played your cheap yellow Siren Mom, and then yellow had the only level fives with on play abilities at the time. Like I don't think any other color, like Skull Greymon and Chimeramon, but like so you had Magna Angelon to recover, you had Mistymon to help against Rookie Rush, and then Slash Angemon was like such a huge tempo card. Kentorosmon was like really good at stopping Rookie Rush and really good at answering boards. But the best part about this deck, in my opinion, was the Kaiser Nail, being able to like replay the Magna Angelons and Mistymons.
Yeah, that seems so strong. Like actually ridiculous. You saw a lot of that in 1.5 with like Mega Zoo decks, but like for it to be used as early as 1.0 and you guys like doing something like that is super creative and super out of the box.
Yeah, and like people, like how people felt about security control, like now, with they're like, man, this deck's so dumb. And I remember people raging about this deck in 1.0, like having like 8 security, and people being like, man, that's not fair. That shouldn't be allowed. And it's like looking back, it like wasn't even that oppressive, but it was just kind of kooky.
Definitely so. Okay, so our low end and Gorillamon just because it was cheap, right? That was the reasoning.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where actually I think Trey and Dan had a difference. I think Dan played one of the restand Garurumons to combat Puppetmons,
Hmm.
and only one Gorillamon, and then Trey even I think played one less Kentarosmon, or maybe they both. Oh no, they both only played 2 Kaiser Nails, and they played one of Puppetmons as well, because Puppetmon was just such a powerhouse in BT1 format.
Right. I also find it interesting that there's like no blockers because when I first started playing, like I had the starter decks, but I didn't start playing until 1.5. And when I had the starter decks, I thought blockers were god. So like, not seeing any, I guess because you have the recovery cards, they're pseudo blockers, is really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So that was basically the premise too, was that the recovery would act as blockers. And honestly, like the fallback of this deck was to just try and rookie rush, like with your Leomons or like your Vanillas. So it was inherently aggressive on the low end, and then more like controlly on the high end.
Gotcha. And since you were gaining like 3 memory off this Leomon Gomamon combo, like your Sirenmons were playing for 2, your Magnus were playing for like 4, and then you like Digiball the Slash so you get your aggression there. Yeah. How did you out an Omni if they established an Omnimon?
So there was just I actually think I made this joke on the YouTube video too. You have to stick to Kentorosmon. That's
Okay.
how you got an op. Like that's literally it, or like double slash. This deck actually has a pretty bad matchup against Blue Omni, which was the best deck of the format.
Okay.
But it had a really good matchup against Purple and Green, which were both very popular in 1.0 as well.
Yeah. Was it a bad matchup against Red Omni? Because blue cards inherently are really good against the red cards. So.
I didn't think it was that bad of a matchup against Red Omni, but Red Omni was just so turbo that like if they got there, they just got there.
Yeah. Totally understandable. Okay, yeah, this is really cool. And then like 1 star off you to recover, and then the mat. So when I was first playing, and we had the starter decks, we only played with the starter decks, like me and my roommates. So I would just tech in 2 mat in my red deck because a lot of the times they were just like hard casting things, and the game memory off the mat was just so impactful. So I'm guessing that's why you guys played it as well.
Yeah, and to keep like if they cleared your board, you had to have a blue source to be able to play your Kaiser Nail or Hammer Sparks. So the mat just like helped with that a lot. And also like just going for memory with TK and Mat out is super strong. Even back then TK was the best tamer. Like it's just insane knowing what your security is.
Definitely. But that's really cool. Anything else you want to say about the deck before we move on?
Oh no, this was definitely like a moment in the game where I felt like this was the most unique deck of the format. And like just because of how the game releases now, I don't think I'll ever get that feeling quite the same. And it was also just really like nostalgic. Like I do like contribute this to like the beginning of GFG and like the start of like my friendships with like Dan Bang and the rekindling of my friendship with Trey Malling, and it was just a good time.
Yeah, and now you're running GFG tournaments every Monday. If you're in chat and you don't play in those, you really should play in those. Very good competition, very good prizing, great community as well.
But yeah, you had asked everyone to like pick a BT6 deck that we also really liked.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So what I've been maining this format for the most part is Three Musketeers. I did play Jesmon in the Gyroshan event, and I had a great time. I do think Jesmon is really strong. I just don't think it's my main deck at the moment.
Gotcha.
I just thought it was the right deck for the tournament because I thought there would be a ton of security control, and there was.
So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about your BT6 deck real quick. Gave you a blast from the past, and now we'll give you guys something current, which is really cool.
Yeah, so I do like Three Musketeers, and honestly, it's a lot of it feels like Blue-Yellow felt back then. It's a lot of toolbox control elements, and it doesn't play super linearly, which is like I'm a fan of like unlinear play styles. So this is how I'm running it at the moment. I have 4 Demi-Meramon as like my main egg option. The draw one discard is huge. I wouldn't even like blame you if these were the only 4 eggs you play, but I do also play the starter deck Pagumon that mills 2 on deletion. In this deck, I think filling your grave is really important because it kind of acts like your second hand. And when you get the BT2 Impmon with this under it, you're milling 5 on deletion, which is insane for setup.
Yeah, so playing 5 eggs, is that just to be able to do the grind game? Because a lot of the times,
Yes.
like, Demi-Mare just feels like the best egg and like the only one you want, but I'm guessing it's just for the grind.
Yeah, the grind is really important, I think. I also I just like having 5 eggs in most decks, unless it's a very aggressive deck. For my rookies, I play 2 Soundbirdmon. When you attack, you could ditch a option to gain a memory, so it helps you fill your discard.
Okay.
And this I have played as Labra in the past, which I think is just as valid. But I wanted more good things to evolve over the eggs, because some of your level 3s you don't want to evolve. I have 2 Gazis, even though we don't have the starter memory boost quite yet. We will after this weekend. Against security control, you're stopping their reinforced boost. It can be a big thing. It also helps against little Digimon things that gain memory. If you run into the yellow memory abuse in this format, the Dynasmon build,
Yeah.
it gets kind of wild.
Post starters, Gazimon's just gonna be a house.
Yeah, I think after starters you have to at least run 2. If you have access to them, you just have to. I run the 4 BT2 Impmon, the on deletion mill 3. It fills your discard, and that's the name of the game with this deck. And then the best rookie is 4 of the new Impmon. When you play him, you can trash a card in your hand to get back a 3 Musketeer or 7 Demon Lord from your discard pile. So it helps you get back your Beals. You get back a Gundramon if you need to, and you could even play him without a target just to ditch a card in your hand to help speed up your game, which isn't that bad of an idea. So that's all the rookies I play. I played 12.
Gotcha.
For champions, right now I'm playing 2 Vilemon just to have a blocker and a target for Nailbone. I have 1 Ogremon as a tech. I think he does a lot as a one-of.
Yeah, I
when you
keep
get
seeing
him
that. A lot of people are playing that card.
Yeah, so he helps fill your trash. He pops their blockers. He can answer their board in a small way, and when you get him back with Zwart, you pop something too usually. And he's something you get back with Nailbone that doesn't lose memory when you swing. Kind of cool. Your favorite Nailbone target is Ninkakumon Promote because it has Rush. The rest of the effects are completely useless because you don't have anything in the deck that can go with them. It is just a level 4 purple that you can rush with.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you play Explore Deputymon, or at least I do. It fills your trash. It can be a +2 in hand. It can evolve to Gundramon for 6. It does a lot in this deck. You need at least run 3, in my opinion.
Yeah, so
And
real
then-
quick, I just want to talk about Deputy, for those who don't know. It is mistranslated in English. If you hit an option and a Three Musket card, you must take both. You cannot take one and then trash the other. Just to let you guys know.
Yeah, the effect is mandatory for both. So if you see either or, you have to take at least what you see. And then the Mechanorimon, I have as a one-of. I think it's really strong against Bond matchups. I think when you get to that grind game with certain matchups, having a Mechanori out can like stall them from just chipping you dead. So it's really, really helpful.
It's also really good in the mirror because like the way the mirror wins is they try to chip you really early. So if you just hard call a Mechanori, yeah, they're getting value in their grave, but they're not doing damage to you. So
yeah, Mechanori, it could be like a big. Anything that slows them down is good for you up until you get like basically feel stars. So I run 4 of the Gundramon. He evolves over Deputy, lets you play a card for free. When he's in your trash, he makes your Beals cheaper, and he's a blocker. He's a pretty big blocker. So I think he's pretty strong. I'm not afraid to discard him to help make my Bellstarmons cheaper. So I just run 4 of him, and 4 of the lady herself, Bellstarmon. It's the deck. If you don't see one of these, you're probably not winning, but
yeah.
It's insane. You end up playing her for free towards the end of the game, getting massive tempo in your favor, and then evolving into a level 7 that like really swings stuff into your favor. And you get to recycle her like three or more times a game usually. It's nuts. For level 7s, I play 2 defeats. I think they're really good this format. Answering Tamers was really strong. Having a security hit that swings tempo in your favor is really strong. And on deletion, they kill something. These are all just great effects. Evolves for 3, which is also one of my favorite things.
Yeah, Defeat is just one of those cards that are just so punishing in the game. At one point, I was like, Defeat is probably the best card in the game. But that was like in BT5, so...
Yeah, I think if you're in the colors, playing at least 2 Defeat is worth it. Zwart in this deck is really strong. Just getting the play effects off things you bring back, off deputies, off even the little Impmons, the Ogremons, and it lets you recycle your Beals. When you evolve over it, you can put it back in your hand. It's really strong. 15k is also hard to get over in a Bonds meta.
Definitely.
And then I play 1 Millenniumon because it outs Crania. I only have 1 out to Crania, and it's Millenniumon, so if I don't stop them from getting to it, I need to hope I draw it. It's not the best plan of action, but
it's a plan. And it's good
it is a plan.
Plan going in for like the cards that you know beat you.
Yeah, and it really is a hard counter to this deck, so I hope it doesn't get too popular while I'm playing it. I played 2 Nailbone. It is kind of like your finishing move in this deck. So you want to get this into discard as early as possible. Against security control, too, this is really strong. Just playing bodies to make them answer. Try and overwhelm them. Make them run out of answers first. 3 Trump Sword. Trump Sword's really good in the Gabubon matchup, and it is a 7-cost removal that could answer any level.
Okay, would you consider bumping it up to 4 then, just to make your Bond matchup or like your Jesmon matchup a little better?
I have considered bumping it up to 4, taking out either one of the Happy Bullet Showerings or one of the Gavalt Schwarmers. But I just don't know if that's something that I will do yet.
Gotcha.
I play 4 Fly Bullets. Really strong card. It's generic removal for everything but level 7s, unfortunately. So it helps in some situations, but it doesn't really help against Bonds. Really good against Jesmon. Really good against Royal Knights as long as they don't have Cranium. It's pretty strong. Then for my 3 Musketeer options, I play 2 Happy Bullets, which is another great answer to Bonds decks. If they just have the 1 stack, it does answer them in security. I don't hate it. Like I said, I might go to 1 to play a 4th Trump Sword. I just have to test more. I play 3 Gavalts. I think it's a really strong card, so I don't want to cut it to 2. But I think that a lot of people have learned to play around it, which is why I considered cutting it to 2. And those are my options. I play 14 options, and they're all 7 cost.
Yeah. No, that's super strong. Yeah.
There's 2 Tamers, 1 Mat, one Sora Mimi. The mat is okay. It's good late game to be able to recycle. Putting yourself to 3 can be good if they try to choke you. I don't think it's needed, so you could play anything in its spot if you really want to. The Sora Mimi, I tried and I really liked it. Just getting that Demi Marimon effect on every swing is really helpful, and against certain decks, you'll always get that +2 from their memory bonus. So that is how I'm running Musketeers right now.
That's awesome. That's a really good deck. It's really solid, guys. Good skeleton. So yeah, we'll just continue on with the questions. I just have a few more.
Yeah.
We can go back to face cam if you want. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's cool with me either way.
So in your opinion, because you've done so well in the game, what do you think puts you at the level that you're at now? Or, better way to phrase it is, what do you think would help newer players or players that have been playing a while and haven't figured it out yet? What do you think would help them be better?
I think it's just about I don't want consistency, but not in the terms of always doing well. Just making yourself more familiar. Playing games more often will always help, as long as you're playing a varied amount of people and you're not getting stuck in an echo chamber. Just playing the same deck over and over helps a lot. Just being familiar, learning better plays through repetition is really, really important. It gets to a point where your deck. There was with Red Omni in 1.0, there were games where I almost knew I would draw the out if I kept digging, because I'd done so much repetitive gaming that it's okay, I have this many cards in my deck roughly, I have this many answers, so the chances I'll get to the next card are this. Just stuff like that where you start to learn your plays a little bit better. I also just think being open to new ideas is really important. I don't like when people just shut out things just because they're not the min-maxed best in-slot option. That's how you lose innovation. I think trying something crazy is almost always worth it, because a lot of games aren't won because the best cards were drawn. It's because you played around something that you should have, or you weren't playing around something that you didn't have to. If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It makes total sense. I'm a big try to play around as much as you possibly can type of person.
Yeah, me. I try to. I know it sounds silly, but I try to always play as if I'm going to brick.
Yeah.
So whenever I go to make a decision, it's okay, if I risk it, how bad does it put me in if I get punished?
Right.
So thinking that is really good, but I also think that there's a point where you could be too cautious, especially with certain types of decks. When Green Sarismon was a big deck, I found myself getting to almost drawing a lot. I think I only drew with that deck once, but it was just because I would wait so long to swing out, when it's I should have just put on the aggression quicker.
Gotcha. Okay. No, go ahead.
I mean, really, that's it. Yeah, I just think surrounding yourself with positive people and trying to do your best. It is a numbers game. Just playing a lot. I don't think that I'm any more or less special than anyone else on this panel or anyone else playing this game regularly.
Gotcha. All right, time for the hard-hitting questions. So, who is your favorite player in the game? It could be to watch. It could be that you interact with, or someone that was a mentor to you in the game.
Honestly, and this isn't me just shilling for my teammates, I think Dan Vang is my favorite player in the game. I do think he is probably one of the best players, if not the best, in the North American Digimon metagame. But I have a good time playing with everyone. Everyone on this panel is sick. Everyone at the Digimon Academy has been really fun to play test with and help me work through stuff lately. Mario's been great with streaming, helping me out, just being a bro. Max has always been really supportive and really positive, not only for me but for the community. And honestly, Eli always inspires me to play different stuff, which is super cool because he's usually on really unique stuff. Just shout out the people in this chat.
Yeah, Eli's always on something crazy, and I'm just like, oh man, he's playing this, and then he's just doing so well with it. Okay, so just for sake of argument, we'll just say Dan Van is your favorite player to like watch, but like you do appreciate everyone in the chat and like everyone else around us.
Yeah, I think we have a really phenomenal community. There's like whenever anyone is streaming, I want to watch it. There's like literally not enough time in the day to like support everyone I want to, but just everyone has been so overwhelmingly good in this community, at least with the interactions I've had.
Yeah. Okay. So next question. If you have 100 Shaquille O'Neals and one silverback gorilla, who do you think would win in a fight?
100. Okay, is it Shaq in his prime, or does he have like bad?
Sure. We'll say Shaq in his prime.
I think the silverback still takes it.
You think
honestly?
So?
Yeah.
But the silverback will get tired. You know, if you say it's silverback. And then what's something in the game that you look forward to?
Jogress. I think Jogress is going to be insane.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of those pendulum cards, but they are pretty good. And then any goals or general advice you want to give toward the end?
For goals, I just want to like foster a good community. Just keep the community like overwhelmingly positive. I think that's been my favorite part of anything. Like all the tops, all the prizes, like whatever. The thing that's best to me is at the end of like Monday night events when people message me like thanks for the tournament. It's been really fun. Like getting those kind of messages is like super great. And then like just general advice, like be good to each other. At the end of the day, it's a game. It's how we de-stress. Don't let it stress you out more.
Awesome.
Everyone gets a little salty, but don't let it like ruin you.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, Tyler. I'm gonna let you take a break. You can do as you'd like. If you could be back toward the end, I'd appreciate it. It's not mandatory or anything.